Welcome! Don't go, you're in the right place. This is Menopause University, and I am Menopause Taylor. I know, I look ridiculous, but there's a reason for that. And if you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you know that there is a reason for everything I do. This is video number 275. It is the 40th video in our long unit on Alzheimer's disease. And thus far, I have schooled you about your brain in general, what happens to your brain with Alzheimer's in particular, and all your management options in 5 of the 6 categories of management options. So far, we have addressed your lifestyle, dietary, vitamin, mineral, and supplement, herbal, and hormonal options. And last week, I talked about the estrogen window of opportunity as it pertains to prevention of Alzheimer's. It was a continuation of the discussion on the one hormonal medication option for preventing Alzheimer's disease, which is estrogen. Well, today's video is also a continuation of our discussion on your hormonal options. And this video is unique in that I will be discussing a particular product. You see, I don't push anything. Not a single management style, not a single regimen, not a single diet or lifestyle measure, and not a single product. I just give you facts, and then I help you to put things into perspective so that you can make the best choices for you. But when there's a single item that has a unique quality, I make sure to inform you of that fact so that you can add it to your scale as you weigh and balance all your options. And that's the case with today's video. Today, I'll be talking about one specific form of estrogen that just so happens to have a special benefit for your brain. And it's something that you might want to consider, and it might make a difference for you. As you know, all of chapter 33 is on Alzheimer's in both editions of my book, the first edition and the second edition. This is really getting in my way. So, if you're wondering why you should watch a video by a gynecologist in a horse costume, it's because I'll be giving you information that only a gynecologist who is savvy about horses can give you. So let's get started. As usual, I'll start at the beginning and I'll work my way to the underlying message of this entire video. Our general topic for today is on something called conjugated estrogens. Conjugated estrogens are merely a mixture of many different kinds of estrogen. Now, theoretically, you could call any mixture of estrogens a conjugated estrogen product. The 3 estrogens you used to have in your own body constituted conjugated estrogens, and the combinations of all the different estrogens in any animal's body constitutes conjugated estrogens. So as a human, the 3 conjugated estrogens that qualify as your conjugated estrogens are estrone, estradiol, and estriol. I've taught you about these 3 estrogens in a number of videos. If you've watched my videos in order, you already know that the 3 estrogens are, number 1, estrone, with O-N-E for 1. It's the estrogen you produce in your fat cells, and most of us hate it, especially at postmenopause, and that's because it's still hanging around to make us fatter. The second one is estradiol, with a di for 2, and it's the estrogen that was your fountain of youth. It made you feminine. It prevented all your symptoms of postmenopause, and it prevented aging of your heart, bones, and brain. It's the one we all want back when we lose it at the time of postmenopause. It's the one that pertains to everything I said to you about the estrogen window of opportunity. And the third one is estriol, with TRI in it for 3. And this is the estrogen that your body produced in order to support a pregnancy. It's the weakest of all three estrogens. And it was never there for your benefit in the first place. It was there for the baby, just like progesterone. So if you were to make a product of conjugated human estrogens, it would contain these three estrogens. Now, it might seem logical to try to mimic these three estrogens, except for the fact that you only need one of them now. And it might seem logical to try to mimic the ratio of the three estrogens as they once were during your reproductive life. But given the fact that they're constantly changing during your entire reproductive life according to your menstrual cycles or pregnancies, there isn't a stable ratio. However, this is precisely what the compounding pharmacies attempt to do. A compounded estrogen product will contain a form of conjugated human estrogens. But as I told you in last week's video, compounded estrogen is not sufficient to prevent Alzheimer's. And the reason it's not sufficient is because 80% of it consists of estriol, the weakest estrogen that is solely for purposes of supporting a pregnancy. And estriol offers no benefit whatsoever to your brain. So while the philosophy of compounded conjugated estrogens may sound good, it does not save your brain. Another kind of conjugated estrogens is conjugated equine estrogen. That would be a combination of all the estrogens in a horse. The word equine means horse. The most well-known conjugated estrogen, and it's a conjugated equine estrogen, is a product called Premarin. And the name Premarin is a shortened form of the phrase pregnant mare urine. So Premarin is an estrogen product that is made from the urine of pregnant mares. And the reason I'm wearing a horse costume is because our discussion today is all about Premarin. Now, I'm not pushing Premarin, and I'm not putting Premarin down. I'm just educating you about it. So let me tell you a little bit about the history of Premarin, and then I'll explain why I'm giving you a video on it in the Alzheimer's unit. Premarin was originally developed by the pharmaceutical firm Ayerst, McKenna, and Harrison back in 1941. And Premarin was the first estrogen product marketed for hormone replacement at the time of postmenopause. In the 1950s, Ayerst began advertising Premarin heavily for alleviating menopausal symptoms. And then, in 1960, the book Feminine Forever by Robert Wilson, MD, greatly enhanced its sales. The book promised youth, beauty, and a full sex life for postmenopausal women if they took estrogen replacement. And since Premarin was the only product on the market for estrogen replacement, Premarin sales skyrocketed and the usage just went crazy. From the 1960s until 2002, estrogen replacement at postmenopause was an absolute automatic occurrence. It was a matter of course. The doctors simply told their female menopausal patients to take it, and the women took it. In some cases, the patients didn't even know what they were taking or why they were taking it. But to this day, if you ask a 100-year-old woman if she ever took hormone replacement, she will cock her head and she'll say, "I remember taking something called Premarin." Since the heyday of Premarin, though, many other forms of estrogen replacement have appeared. Some of them are conjugated estrogens. Others are a single kind of estrogen. But the reason I feel the need to give you this video on Premarin is because Premarin has some unique qualities that are specific to prevention of Alzheimer's. It turns out that horses have more different kinds of estrogen in their bodies than we have in our human bodies. They have over 10 different kinds of estrogen. We have only 3. So of the 10 plus different kinds of estrogen in a horse's body, only about 17% of it is estradiol. But because horses are so much bigger than we are, that 17% is comparable to our level of estradiol. And the estradiol in a horse's body is identical from a molecular standpoint to the estradiol in a human body. Estradiol is the one human estrogen that is most critical at the time of postmenopause. So it's still what you would call bioidentical. But it's not the estradiol in Premarin that makes it such a difference with regard to Alzheimer's prevention. Instead, it's an entirely different estrogen called Equilin. Equilin sounds a lot like equine, doesn't it? And that's apropos because you might want to remember the word Equilin. Why? Because it turns out that Equilin is the one form of estrogen that is the absolute most beneficial in preserving your brain. No other estrogen product has it. And that's why I dressed up like a horse today for this video. Now, I find that a lot of women have an aversion to taking an estrogen product that is made from the urine of a pregnant mare. A pregnant mare makes a lot of urine, and that urine contains a lot of estrogen. So these aversions aren't about the logic of using such a source for estrogen replacement. Maybe the aversions are because of their concerns about animal cruelty, or perhaps it's because it's urine, or possibly these women are vegan, or maybe it's for some other reason. I often wonder, what's the big difference between drinking cartons of cow milk versus popping a pill made of horse urine? But everyone has her preferences, and I will always honor your preferences. But if you're looking for the absolute most effective estrogen replacement product for preventing Alzheimer's, Premarin would be it, hands down. Now, you still have to take a form of Premarin that travels throughout your body. Plus, you still need to start it early in your postmenopause. And you still need to take the minimal necessary dosage of conjugated estrogens, which is 0.625 milligrams. So here I have various different estrogens. Here I have Premarin in 0.3 milligrams. Here I have it in 0.45. Here I have it in 0.625. And here I have it in a dosage of 1.25. So there are multiple different dosages. And anytime there are more than one dosage, you have to make sure that you're taking the right ones. So the only ones that would suffice in terms of preventing Alzheimer's would be the 0.6 of the ones I have here are 0.625 and 1.25. And there are actually two more dosages that I'm not showing you. There's a 0.9 milligrams and there's a 2.5 milligram. So if you take either of these lower dosages, the 0.3 or the 0.5, you will fall short of your brain-saving goals. Now, Premarin vaginal creams that you use for vaginal dryness will do absolutely nothing for your brain. They stay confined to your vagina. So all the principles from last week's video still apply. I guess you could say that horse urine could actually save your brain. And that's about it. Whenever there's a significant advantage or disadvantage with one option or another, I will always tell you, just like I do with the capabilities and limitations of different option categories. If Alzheimer's prevention is one of your biggest goals, and you have no aversion to taking an estrogen product made from pregnant mare urine, then Premarin can offer a uniquely significant protection for your brain. Next week, I'll discuss the Alzheimer's results from the infamous WHI study. You'll realize that you did not hear the whole story on that one, not even close. So go to menopausetailor.me to schedule a consultation for anything you want. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, not wearing a horse costume. And you can subscribe right here. See you in a week. Bye. Bye!